Damien Farmer of the Communication and Public Affairs Department. Welcome to the Barbados Police Service Headquarters for the press briefing hosted by the Commissioner of Police, the Honorable Richard Boyce. Also present is the Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Ian Branch, Assistant Commissioners, Mr. John Boyce, Mr. Barry Hunt, Mr. David Welch, and Mr. Adrian Boone. In this briefing, as earlier mentioned, Mr. Commissioner intends to outline the police service's plans and strategies to effectively police the country, especially during the upcoming independence celebrations, Yuletide festivities, and the winter tourist season. Without any further ado, I present the Commissioner of Police, the Honorable Richard Boyce.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Pleasant evening to members of the senior command team, members of the media, and members of the general public. Good evening all. I have come to you this evening to address the recent incidents of firearm-related crime in our country, to explain what your police service has been doing, and to set out clearly the path we will follow as we move into our independence and Christmas season. Some months ago, I spoke to you and outlined a robust plan to confront gun crime head-on. Following that national action, we saw a welcome easing in the most serious offenses. And for the first time in a decade, the month of September passed without a single gun-related homicide in Barbados. That was not an accident. It reflected hard work by our officers and cooperation from many communities. Over the last few weeks, however, we have experienced a number of deeply troubling incidents, including shootings that have resulted in the loss of life and serious injury. These events have raised concern and, in some quarters, fear. Just yesterday, officers responding to a report were confronted by armed men on motorcycles, dressed in dark clothing, with hoodies and balaclavas, ski masks, concealing their faces. These men pointed their weapons at the responding officers and opened fire. 2 rounds struck a police vehicle. By the grace of God, no officer was physically injured, and our officers acted with professionalism and courage. One of the 2 suspects was arrested by the officers. The investigation into that matter is active and ongoing. We are taking this matter very seriously, and we have been working consistently on it. It shows how bold and reckless a small number of offenders have become. A tiny group of armed men must not and will not be allowed to run rampant over Barbados or to intimidate the Barbados Police Service. Our intelligence continues to show that the majority of these firearms incidents involve individuals who are already in direct conflict with each other. People settling scores, people involved in criminal activity. That has been the trend for some time. But I want to be clear about this. No gun crime is acceptable. A bullet fired in anger in any public place threatens not only the intended target, but every innocent person nearby. One life taken, one family shattered, is one too many. As Commissioner of Police, I am saying to those with illegal firearms and those who carry traffic or use them, we are coming for you. There will be no leniency for persons who illegally arm themselves and put communities at risk. And let me add, anyone who points a firearm at a police officer in the lawful execution of duty or who fires on the police is attacking the state itself. Those persons can expect the full and determined response of the Barbados Police Service. Barbadians are seen that often within days of serious crimes being committed, especially gun crimes. My officers are arresting and charging the perpetrators. It is clear to the public, and it should be clear to the perpetrators, that those committing crime are not getting away with that crime, and that crime does not pay. At the same time, I want to reassure Barbadians of this important fact. You must feel comfortable to leave your homes. Barbados is not under siege. These incidents are serious, but they remain concentrated among individuals in conflict with each other. Our task now is to intercept and disrupt those activities before they bring any further harm to our society. In the months since I last addressed you, the Barbados Police Service has been engaged in careful analysis and reflection on the crime situation. We have studied where and when these incidents occur, who is involved, and what has worked to reduce the violence. We have identified specific streets, blocks, and corridors across the island that are consistently linked to gun-related offenses. Those hotspots are now part of the focus of detailed operational plans. From now through Independence and into Christmas and the New Year, Barbadians will see and feel a stronger and more visible police presence built around three pillars. One, targeted enforcement in hotspots. We are intensifying foot and mobile patrols in high-risk communities, commercial districts, and nightlife areas. Special operations will target illegal firearms, ammunition, wanted persons, and those believed to be financing or organizing gun crime. In this week alone, my officers have been successful in seizing a large set of drugs, cannabis, and pills commonly referred to as mollies, and a number of guns, some high-powered, as well as significant amounts of ammunition. Let me share some details with you as it relates to the seizure of firearms and ammunition for this year. From the month of January down to current month. January, 4 firearms were recovered and 23 rounds of ammunition. February, 5 firearms and 84 rounds of ammunition recovered. March, 8 firearms and 107 rounds of ammunition recovered. April, 4 firearms and 41 rounds of ammunition. May, 6 firearms and 92 rounds of ammunition. June, 10 firearms and 56 rounds of ammunition. July, 7 firearms and 190 rounds of ammunition. August, 7 firearms and 65 rounds of ammunition. September, 9 firearms and 1,024 rounds of ammunition. October, 4 firearms and 413 rounds of ammunition. November, 15 firearms and 631 rounds of ammunition. Thus far, 79 firearms and 2,754 rounds of ammunition. Now, I'm looking at the caliber of weapons, especially the high-powered weapons. There were 3 AR-15 assault rifles, 2 AK-47 assault rifles, 1 MAC-11 firearms, and 3 shotguns. In terms of road policing and vehicle checks will be stepped up, particularly along major corridors and in and out of known hotspots. Second thing we'll focus on is increased mobility and rapid response. Over recent months, several of our officers have undergone specialized motorcycle training to to improve the ability to respond quickly and maneuver in congested urban environments. The introduction of new police motorcycles, including electric units, has strengthened our capacity to patrol more frequently and appear where we are most needed. With less delay and less visibility to criminals. These assets will be deployed heavily throughout the holiday season so that you see officers on the ground, on the roads, and in your communities. Third, joint and specialized capabilities. Working within the legal framework established by Parliament and under clear human rights guidelines, the Barbados Police Service will continue joint operations with the Barbados Defence Force where necessary to support high-risk operations. Our officers have also benefited from advanced training in crime scene management, investigative techniques, and case preparation with support from regional and international partners. This improves our ability not only to make arrests, but to secure convictions and remove dangerous offenders from the streets. We have also seen clear repeating patterns in the way some offenders choose to operate. Time and time again, individuals involved in serious crime have been using scrambler-type motorcycles to move quickly, evade detection, and escape from scenes, and hoodies, balaclavas, and dark clothing to conceal their identity from members of the public and from the police. Let me say this as clearly as I can. Do not come telling us about fashion. These are not harmless fashions when used in this way. They have become part of the uniform of intimidation and lawlessness. Many of these scrambler motorcycles are unlicensed, uninsured, and unregistered. They are a danger to every road user, pedestrian, and a serious threat to public safety. The wearing of balaclavas and similar full-face coverings in public spaces, especially in circumstances that give rise to a reasonable suspicion that they are being used to commit or conceal crime, is contrary to the law. Highways Act, Section 37. When persons choose to mask themselves in this way, in dark clothing, on illegal motorcycles, they are not just breaking traffic rules, they are creating a climate of fear and lawlessness. From tonight, Barbadians must be in no doubt. The Barbados Police Service will intensify our crackdown on illegal scramblers motorcycle. Riders who choose to race through night communities, ride without helmets or number plates, or refuse to stop will face the full weight of the law. Persons who use hoodies, balaclavas, and other face covering to conceal their identity while engaged in or facilitating criminal activity will also be targeted and prosecuted. Let me be blunt. If you are riding a scrambler illegally, in dark clothing with your face covered, ignoring lawful instructions from the police, you should expect to be stopped. You should expect to be searched. And you should expect consequences. I also want Barbadians to understand that your police service today is better resourced than it was at the start of the recent journey. The government has approved new posts of senior constables within the service, adjusted our rank structure, and has taken steps to improve conditions. New officers have joined our ranks, and special constables have completed intensive training. We are continuing active recruitment to ensure that our service reflects the society we serve. As a nation, we are approaching a period when Barbadians traditionally gather to celebrate our independence and the Christmas season. You have a right to enjoy your country. You have a right to walk our streets, to shop, to worship, to celebrate without living in fear. the Barbados Police Service is making the following commitments: enhanced patrols in shopping areas, transport hubs, entertainment venues, and tourist corridors, a visible presence at key national events, and in communities that have recently experienced violence. Continued monitoring of individuals and groups at high risk of involvement in gun crime. A sustained crackdown on illegal motorcycles and vehicles being used to facilitate crime. Finally, I appeal once again to the conscience and courage of the Barbadian public. We know from experience that when the public and the police service work together, violence goes down. The lull we experienced was not achieved by the police alone. It was a partnership. Similarly, a reminder to us that it is up to each of us to seek to reduce opportunities for crime by being careful and vigilant. To those who are currently carrying illegal guns or thinking of acquiring one, stop. Forget about it. Seek help to resolve your disputes. If you persist in choosing violence, understand that the full weight of the law will come to your door. And those of us who see something wrong, we say to you and remind you, if you see something, say something. My officers who are here to work with you confidently, and you can equally approach Crime Stoppers who work with us in the Barbados Police Service. Our operations control number is 430-7100, and the number for Crime Stoppers is 1-800-8477 or 1-800-TIPS. The motto of the Barbados Police Service is to serve, protect, and reassure. We will not allow gunmen to define what it means to live in Barbados. We will not allow a small number of violent individuals to hold this country to ransom or to steal the joy of our national celebrations. We will work tirelessly to do all that we can to keep Barbados safe. I ask you to play your part. Let us as Bajans work together to keep our communities and our country safe. Thank you, and may God bless and protect our nation and each of us. Thank you.
We will now field questions from the media. As per usual, please state your organization and name before you begin. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon to you.
And to your members of staff. Just a few quick questions from me. Firstly, let me state my name. My name is Colville Munzi, Nation News. Just a few quick questions from me. First of all, could you give us an idea as to our tally this for the year thus far for murders, and could you break it down for firearm related offenses as well? And then also, you mentioned about the wearing of ski masks. We know that wearing them in public spaces is a contravention of the law, but what about the sale of these items, especially the ski masks as well? Is that something that should be considered for a policy decision as well?
Right, let me take one question at a time. In terms of ski masks, as I mentioned before, it is against the law to cover your face in such a way. It's under the Highways Act, I would say. So we have powers to intervene and deal with that situation. And as we mentioned, we laid out the circumstances under which the person will be seen acting suspicious. So the police can use certain observation to deal with face covering in public domain on the circumstances which currently exists. So we are fully in tune and on board with addressing that matter. In terms of the next question, bundling all together, let's talk about firearms. No, firearm will involve murders. We do not have that here. I can get that back to you by the end of the working day, give you that information.
But it didn't quite answer my first question either, because I'm asking about the sale of these items. I mean, have you suggested to the powers that be, the legislature, that this is something that maybe along with tint should be outlawed as well, the sale of these schemas?
That has been a discussion topic for us on more than one occasion. Yes, we engage customs also. We engage the organizations that have the power to seize weapons and put those on the prohibited list. But as I mentioned to you, if they become a problem, which they are, we have the power, the authority to deal with it. So we are looking at it from a confiscation perspective, and also where we examine circumstances, situations, all circumstances surrounding a particular incident, we will act accordingly. So yes, it is foremost in our mind, and that is one of the things that I mentioned earlier, about the balaclavas, the motorcycle. Then we put all these things together. We can say to our officers, we have a right, reasonable suspicion to act against a particular person. So yes, it's being discussed, but no definitive decision has come that we should ban these balaclavas in the country. That is not being considered at this point in time. But as I mentioned, nothing is off the table. If it becomes overburdensome for us, then we will take that position.
Commissioner, the police force remains, the police service, remains the buffer between the criminal element and society. And the mere fact, I mean, although this is not the first time that we are seeing persons shooting, but this is at the police. It is still a far and few between as it relates to such incidents. Given the brazen nature of what happened, I mean, the cursory mention of it, I think, needs to go a little further in reassuring the public that, that those demarcations and lines between, law enforcement and respect for law enforcement still remain. I mean, what can you do? What can you say at this point to really assure the public that, you're on top of the situation?
Yes, we viewed that incident very, very seriously. As I mentioned, it is something that is a no-no as far as we are concerned. We will fight fire with fire. The gloves are off when it comes to shooting at the police and endangering the life of police officers out there on the streets. Police officers are deployed to serve and protect. So when they become under fire, deadly fire, I must say, then there's no limit to the response that we will take. And my officers are fully aware that you have to fight fire with fire. And they are not timid in their actions out there. Very robust and can deal with those types of situations. Yes, it's troubling for us, and it tells us that we have to step up to increase notches up the ladder of resistance and response or reaction where these things are concerned. So we already discussed how we will deal with it and the measures that we put in place. We feel comfortable and confident that our response will be very telling to any actions that happened just yesterday. So it's well known to us, and we understand what is happening, and we put measures in place to deal with it. And mind you, it is not only the police involvement. We also have the company, members of the Barbados Defense Force with us. So we are responding to that situation in a big way, and one very frontally to address those incidents going forward.
Commissioner, the I know that it's still early stages of the investigation as it relates to at least the incident where the police chase took place. But the police responded quite quickly in that incident, or pretty much to the point that they're able to chase and capture one of the perpetrators, well, alleged, sorry, perpetrators of the incident. Is that rapid response happenstance, or was it part of some tactical measure that we are seeing bearing fruit at this point?
I must confess to you that from our observation of what's happening in the country in terms of firearms, we have a dedicated operation moving on currently. And persons who responded to that report, they were all part and parcel of the type of intervention that we have on the ground. So when that report came in, our officers was within seconds on board where that incident occurred. So, as I mentioned before, we are moving through communities that are suspect of being criminal-minded. Persons who live in those communities, those few persons, we are well aware that we have to deal with them. So our targeting and deployment and response will be laser sharp in dealing with these matters. So it was not happenstance that we were there. Those persons were briefed, detailed, and said to go to sector 1, 2, or 3. That is your area of operation. That is your area to keep safe. And that played out tremendously well for us because of our intervention, our deployment, and our strategy. So you will see a lot of that happening. We are working 24/7 on a consistent basis to bring the situation under control.
Good.
No?
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
No, after the others, I'll
Jenny
just
Belgrade
ask a
from
few.
Barbados today. We speak about the firearms, but I'm wondering about the situation with regards to supply and then landing here. How is the police working with port agencies, for example, to prevent that, to break that supply chain coming into the island?
The supply chain, there are two sides of it, supply and demand. That is, persons sending firearms and other weapons to Barbados, and we in Barbados demanding, have a demand for weapons. So the two sides of the coin that we have to deal with. But for us, as you mentioned, looking at one end, in terms of supply, yes, we have our partners that we are working with. We know, as often said, that we do not manufacture weapons here. So the countries, the source countries, we are working with those countries, those law enforcement officers, persons in government to stem the flow of weapons coming into the country. It's working very well for us, I must say. Information is shared, and not only that, it's a regional hub now where firearms are concerned. Not only Barbados, but countries in the Caribbean. They come under one heading and have a gun lab whereby people can put information from each country into this common pot. Information is shared, and also from the CARICOM aspect of it, it's also connected with various countries that manufacture firearms. And there's that constant interaction between local, regional, and international in terms of firearm trafficking. And we will continue doing that. So we operate on a high level of intelligence and information. And when we get that, we analyze it, and then we do our strikes. We have a good handle of what is happening, and we are putting our operation in place to capture and seize these weapons. As mentioned before in my stacks, in terms of ammunition recovery, we see that every month we are recovering firearms and ammunition. So there's no letter where that is concerned. But yes, it means that we should continue to talk to the international partners and stem the flow of firearms. People at governmental level, they are doing a big effort in keeping that part fluid in terms of sharing information and putting laws and other measures in place to stem that flow of firearms.
Is there any information as to the main place where these firearms are coming in from? Because I know there would have been firearms seized at before.
Our information tells us that there probably is no secret that majority of weapons come in not only to Barbados but other countries, coming from the source country which is known to us. And we are continuing to work with that. We know the country and we know where to look, what to do in terms of going forward where these weapons are concerned. And I must re-emphasize that the countries concerned, they are working with us. They're working with us. So we have to keep that part of the channel free where we can get as much information and as much support as possible. So I would leave it there.
Okay, let me move on to CCTVs, because I know like over the last few months we are seeing an increase in these being erected in certain districts. I wanted to know how effective has this been so far in your policing efforts, and what about persons who are concerned about their privacy?
Yes, we see a good intent where CCTV is concerned. And every law-abiding citizen should feel happy that they have an extra eye out there looking out for them. The time for overly secret moving around is long past. That is, people need to understand that there's harm out there. And if we want to utilize the technology that is out there, and that we see the usefulness and soundness of these technologies, CCTV and other technology, if we don't make use of it, we will be always on the back foot when it comes to fighting crime. We must see the goodness of understanding what is happening in various communities, various districts. So whether it is the business side of it, whether it's the domestic side of it, we need to know exactly what is happening. If we want to make sure that persons who commit these serious crimes, we have to make sure that they are brought to justice, and every iota of evidence that we can gather will do wonders for Barbados, and by extension every citizen, law-abiding citizen in Barbados. So yes, we need to have an idea where to look, what to do, and who are the persons committing these types of crime. And CCTV is one area that we have seen very beneficial for us in the fight against crime. So we will continue to press on. And mind you, we have only just begun in terms of having the numbers. We now have to set a wider pattern to install as many cameras as possible, because we want to keep our intent is to keep Barbados safe, not only for locals but for every person who comes to Barbados. And if it means putting a camera at every corner, every street, every parish, so be it. So persons should get accustomed to having someone looking down or looking out for them. Look at the positive and everything will flow very free without its concern. Nothing to fear, I must assure you and every other members of Barbados, citizens of Barbados. Cameras are our friends. See it as our friends and everything will flow correctly.
All right, Commissioner, good afternoon. Vanessa Harry, CBC. We know you would have mentioned that the men and women of the force are working around the clock, 24/7, to arrest this situation that we are seeing at this time. But is there anything that the service needs to, be more effective, especially as it relates to fighting gun crime right now?
If it's one area that I would jump off on, is that we need every law-abiding citizen, the general public, to partner with us in a big way. I think what is beating us now is that too many persons are living in a state of fear. One, that is why we are seeking to reduce the fear, the things that I explained just now, I went through, but it's removing that fear and having Barbadians, visitors, whoever it is, come on board and partner with us. So once we embrace and have that cordial relationship with members of the public, we can fight the beast of crime, the threat of crime also. So my call today to Barbados is to come with us, walk with us, keep Barbados safe, let us know what is happening, and do not be afraid to assist the police. As I mentioned, you don't have to disclose names or whatever. Anonymously, you can do it. So let us work from that angle. That is the main thing. We cannot go forward unless we have the support of members of the public giving us that type of information.
All right, Ricardo Ross, Star Club Network. Commissioner, I know over the weekend you all had a recruitment exercise. I'm just wondering if you all had received the type of numbers you were looking for responding to the recruitment. I know there was a targeted number. Did you all receive the satisfactory number that would say, well, you are happy about the response from Barbadians coming to the recruitment exercise?
Yes, we are happy, we are satisfied, because we have over 75 persons who signed up, and some other persons took away applications to come back, to bring those applications. So yes, I can say that an outing, if you had rainfall, you have certain interventions that dampen the spirit of persons, but yes, we are satisfied and the numbers are good. But that is just the beginning, I must say. Very soon we have another fair, whereby we can have other numbers coming in. So it's something that we will continue and ensure and make every effort that we get the numbers that we want to see coming into the organization.
Commissioner Boyce, has anyone been charged regarding the importation of stolen cars police talked about a few months ago?
What I can tell you, the area that you are referring to, can you give me the specific area that you're talking about? Because we have local, we have other cars, so just be more
Cars
precise.
coming in from overseas, that would have been alluded to.
Okay, that one you're talking about?
Yes, please.
Okay, what I can say that the investigations into that is a very complex investigation. Now, it is not a local only event. It's cross jurisdiction, international borders, I must say too also. And to get the type of intelligence, the type of evidence coming to us, we have to wait and work patiently with the persons in other jurisdictions. So whether it is the US, whether it's the UK, Canada, or wherever it is not only a Barbados problem, it is a problem that involves international countries and agencies. So yes, people might say, well, it's taking long, but these transnational crimes calls for in-depth. There are many layers that you have to go through before you get to the end, get success in those types of investigations. So it's a lot of work when financial institutions, all different agencies are involved. So it's very complex, tedious, and long-term investigations. You will not get something like that. That is cars and other vehicles coming from foreign countries on a consistent basis. Just so it means that persons have their ties in one country, next country, and things like that. So there's various stops, various ports of entry that it entails. It's not just one country into another country. It's one country into country 2, country 3, country 4. So it's like a maze. So it's going to take some time.
Also, we would have heard or seen little pockets of information circulating on social media about robberies at home and stuff. Is this, are you getting these reports? Is it a matter of concern?
It is, the robberies that are occurring is a very heavy concern for us, I must say. And that is why we are deploying persons in those hotspots. Now, another concern for us in terms of the robberies, we are seeing persons driving away vehicles and using these vehicles to commit those crimes. So that is a concern that goes with the robbery. Persons are extremely mobile, and that, I want to call again on members of the public, if you see a vehicle just parked somewhere for a day or two and things like that, you must let us know. That is one part along the train of robberies that we need to stop. So when you see those vehicles just laying idle by the wayside, let us know so we can have a look at them and see if those are the vehicles that are involved in the robbery. So yes, we are very concerned with them. And if you are following what is happening, whether young or old or in between, you can be targeted by these robbers. So I give a call to each and every one to be observant, cautious, and be aware of your surroundings and protect yourself. And more so, if you see something, call the police. Call the police, let us be there. So if each and every law-abiding citizen is concerned, do not hesitate, do not hesitate. Let us know what you're observing so we can have intervention early as possible against offenders and such like.
Commissioner, are you all seeing the trend of these robberies occurring, especially when there is a major event coming up in Barbados, let's say some concert or something? I don't know if you all are seeing that and if there are any strategies in place to, I'm not saying that a robbery will occur if a major event is coming up, but I'm just wondering if there's any strategies in place to curtail any robberies should it occur, leading up to a major concert or anything like that. Because the talk is when robberies occur, it is when a major concert is coming up in Barbados.
But so far, there is nothing, the evidence does not show that.
Sure, okay.
There is not elevation or elevated rise in terms of that type of offense when these events occur. But it's something that we can monitor, but so far, there's nothing definitive to say yes, it happens.
Commissioner, you would have mentioned that concentration of efforts are going to be in certain areas, hotspots that you would have identified through your intelligence. However, to the average layman observing these crimes, it seems that a lot of them occur once the opportunity is there as well too. Yeah. So for example, if we've seen shootings at gas stations, we've seen in areas that are, one may consider middle income upscale residential areas. We have seen shootings pretty much occur just about anywhere. I mean, how do you reconcile centering your surveillance in those areas when we see these shootings pretty much occur wherever the opportunity presents themselves or wherever the intended target is found?
Right, okay. That is the reason why we are involved in deep analysis of what is occurring in the island. Now, every crime that is reported to us, it is logged, it is dissected, and we look at patterns of crime being committed. So we know the districts which are extremely, extremely hot. And we know those that are cold. There are some districts in Barbados that are very cold in the sense no crime, very little crime occurred in certain areas. But there are some locations that very, very, very amenable to crime being occurring. So what we will do is to deploy our resources, high impact efforts of police officers in those areas that red flag. We know the areas, we know districts. There are certain streets that we know if persons walk at a certain time, they're more susceptible to being robbed than other places. So we capture all of that information and we do what we call crime mapping to know exactly where things are occurring and where things are likely to occur. So yes, question is well noted, but we have persons doing the analysis for us so that when we deploy our resources, we know which area to focus on. And some parts in Barbados will see a police vehicle or police officers almost 10 times a day, because we know what is happening, we know what we have to do. So we deploy our resources to cover those situations. So that is how we go about it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, we thank you wholeheartedly for attending our press briefing. And as you go to your various destinations, we ask that you go safely. We sincerely hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.